Ben Starosta is a former professional footballer who has represented many clubs both in England and overseas, including our own Sheffield United, Brentford and Bradford, alongside clubs in Australia, Poland and the Philippines. Ben was also capped at under-20 and under-21 level for Poland, where he played in the 2007 under-20 World Cup. Ben now runs his own joinery and home improvements firm, running commercial and domestic fit-outs across the UK. Welcome to the show, Ben. It's brilliant to see you again, mate.
Hi, guys. Good to see you again.
How are you getting on? Everything well in sunny England?
No, mate, it's rubbish. It's actually currently raining. No sun here, mate.
Standard, isn't it? Standard. Yeah. We know we're going to talk around the sort of idea of self-belief today. And obviously, having played football at such an high level, you know, you've done some things that kids only dream of. Tell us a little bit about when you realised that you might have got the sort of confidence and skill to crack on and be decent at footy.
My granddad, on the English side, he used to play for Sheffield Utd back in the day. And he obviously stopped because of the war and things like that. But as soon as I had a ball at my feet, I started playing football every bank holiday, every Easter holidays, every summer holidays. I used to get shipped off to Tony Curry soccer schools.
Yeah.
And I think it was when Tony Curry took a shining to me that, I don't know, say I was queued up to play with the under sevens, under eights. He'd always come and look for me and take me to the under 10s, under 11s. It might not be just a year above, it might be like 2 years above. So obviously that was a good boost for me, that he'd seen something in me that he thought I could deal with the older age groups, you know what I mean? Playing Sunday football with my mates. We had a really good team. I think about 5 went to Sheffield Wednesday, a couple went to Leeds, and then I was the only one who went to Sheffield United. And then that was under 13s. From then on, never looked back, really.
It's interesting there, Ben, because you talk about there's externals. So there's Tony Curry took a shine. You got moved up, so there must have been some evidence there. Then there's being with a group of people that are also very good, and then getting shine from there. Where do you think that self-belief comes from? Is it internalized, or is it then other people giving you that confidence, or is it a massive evidence that you're creating yourself? What does self-belief mean to you?
Well, I think you need that support in the background. So my family was very supportive. Never had to ask to be took anywhere. They're always there to make sure that I was there for training, there for the games on time, there for wherever I needed to be, tournaments across the country. So I owe a lot to, like, obviously my family as well for giving me that I don't know, support. It's just, I think I always had that competitiveness growing up. If I was in a race, I'd get the nervous feeling before a race, and if I come second, I was very disappointed.
Yeah,
I always wanted to win, and that was at everything, not just football, athletics, rugby, badminton, everything. I just had that competitive streak. So if I didn't win, I'd be one of them who I won't be able to laugh for at least a day or two. I'd be going home thinking, damn it, you know what I mean? Like thinking I could get better, I'm gonna go on next time, and so on.
Where did that come from, Ben, though? Was that it just was in you, or was that like your dad saying, you know what, you don't win today, lad, you're not getting no tea when you get home?
Well, it's funny because we laugh about it now. Like, my dad was my biggest critic, and I didn't really say you have fans and you have people on the touchline and things like that, and some people, it's all about opinions. And you might get slated through a match, or someone might shout, "You're shit," basically, and all this. But the person that I looked at in the crowd, I'd figure out where he was sat before I started playing, and I'd look direct at my dad, and he'd either go, just give me the nod, or he'd stand there and go,
yeah.
Which meant if he ever put the thumbs up, meant I was having a good game. If you give me the nod, I was having a stinker.
So when you were moved up these age groups, then, so and this is a different life, and TC comes up, he sees you playing for the under 9s, and he says, "Hang on a minute, come here, let's get you up to the under 11s, under 12s." For somebody that was as competitive as you didn't like to lose, you're looking at your dad for approval. Did you rise to that and think, brilliant, I've got an opportunity to play against people 2 or 3 years older than me? Or did you think, oh no, there's more chance to fail?
I actually looked at it as a positive.
Yeah.
So because I was so used to him, and I'm not just saying it, it used to come every camp, and he'd pull me out. So there'd be like 100 kids, and he'd come and go, Where's young Starosta? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be sat there and I'd put my hand up and he'd go, Ben, you're with them. And I wouldn't even have a choice. Tony Cummins telling me I'm with the older age group, so I won't say, oh no, I'd like to stay with these. Do you know what I mean? It'd be just, I get me stuff, and I'd probably have mates at my own age, and above. I wouldn't know anyone.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, I either sink or I swim.
Yeah.
But that's probably where I knew that I was a decent player, because I'd be playing at my own age group, then I'd go to the older age group, and it could, like I said, it could be a couple of years older, and I'd be holding my own. You know what I mean? And wouldn't just be holding my own, I'd be one of the better players out of that age group. So that gave me confidence, because obviously when I went to the academy, I did it at the academy as well. So I've gone to like an academy in the UK where all the best players of that age group go, and I'm still getting moved up to play for the older age group. Do you know what I mean? I don't know whether that had something to do with my stature at the time, being a bigger lad, or obviously the coach saw something that I'd be able to cope. So that self-esteem, that confidence boost, it's all connected.
And then it's pushed you on, hasn't it? Earlier on, Ben said, I was trying to look when I was playing to look for approval from my dad, so I'd check out where he was sat. And just that word "sat," like that's when you know you've played football at a decent level. If you had sat in the crowd and not standing by the side of the pitch.
Mate, I could get in the car after the game. If I had a stinker, he wouldn't talk to me for the first 20 minutes of the journey, and I'd know. Do you know what I mean? It'd be frosty as in car, freezing, and I'd just be there like, oh, right, I must have played bad today.
It's really interesting that you would rise to that, isn't it? Because Alan and I have done a lot of work with speaking to kids about what they want their parents to do after a game, and a lot of the feedback from kids is we don't want them to say anything because they're not the manager, they're not the coach. We just want some time to sort of decompress and think about what we've done and let us to start to talk about it. This is from a child's point of view. So for you to go in there and know that it's going to be frosty because you've not played well, surely like from an external point of view, that could have gone either way. You could be absolutely devastated and think, well, I'm not playing football again. What's the point? Or why is my dad mad at me? But it seemed that you took that as motivation, and actually that was something that was really positive for you. It was the right thing to do.
Well, I think it just gave me that extra push, because obviously my coaches, I want to play well, because obviously it's been highlighted if I play well or if I play bad, it's part of my progression and stuff like that, and moving up, moving down. But I always thought, honestly, I'm not just saying it, after a game I thought, I've got to get back in that car now if I had a bad game, or I'd be buzzing if I had a good game, because that would mean, it's an easy ride home, do you know what I mean? and it'll be in a good mood for the weekend. It weren't bad as in, it was only like the first 20 minutes, but it was pressure, and there was nothing better than seeing my dad go like that.
Yeah, big thumbs up.
You know what I mean? Because obviously your parents are your biggest critic, and my dad did everything for me. So that was that.
So you've got this bit of confidence. You're playing with the teams that are a few year groups further up than you are, and then you've joined the academy at under 13. Talk us through your time at Sheffield United Academy. You were there till your early 20s, weren't you?
To be fair, I was there quite a while as a pro without actually playing a proper first team league game. I was there about 5 years as a pro. Well, 4.5 years as a pro. 5 years. So I got shipped out on loan a lot. It was. I had good times. I had bad times, like anyone does. I went through the rough with the smooth, and I think there was a time when 2004, I think it was, we went to the World Cup in Northern Ireland. And that's, if you know your football, everybody knows the Milk Cup. It's one of the most prestigious tournaments in the world, not just the UK. And you have player of the tournaments like Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, Joe Cole, like all the big hitters that have then gone on to like made it as absolute football superstars. Well, I had an unbelievable tournament playing for Sheffield United under 17s. Scott Sellers and Kevin Fogg were the coaches at that time. And I got a phone. Well, I didn't get a phone call actually. This surprised me. So we went to this ceremony at the end of the tournament, and there's international sides going on as well. So there's an international tournament, then there's a club tournament, and Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United, everyone's there. Everyone who you know is there, and go to this ceremony. All the lads go, and Kevin Fogg just pulls me to one side and says, "Come on, Ben, we've just got to go around here. We've got to come with me. Like they want to see us." So I'm thinking, me, what's happening? So we go. Next thing, ceremony's going on. Player of the tournament. All of a sudden, player of the tournament for the Milk Cup under 17 age group. Sheffield United, Ben Starosta. So I'm like that. What? So, in 2004, I actually got the player of the tournament of the Milk Cup. So that rate, I got no one could believe it. It's like a prestigious tournament. I get a phone call from Kevin McCabe's son, Simon. Everyone from Sheffield United, like, "That's brilliant, Ben. Like, well done, congratulations," and all this. Parades it round Bramall Lane, my trophy. Like, it's me. I went to sleep with that trophy for about a year and a half. Honestly, it was massive. And then from then on, I thought, right, this is it. This is me. Like, I'm going to kick on. I scored that pre-season. I think I scored 4 goals in the tournament from centre midfield. I think I was only 1 shy from leading goal scorer. From then on in pre-season, I scored every game. So my name was getting touted out for being like a midfield goal scorer. Do you know what I mean? I was only under 17, but I was playing with like first team. I have a first team 11, and then the first out. Doing pre-season with like the first team 11, not the first, but the bigger squad. And I was loving life.
Yeah.
And then the season started. And I didn't score all season, I don't think. So I've gone from scoring every game like nearly 16 goals in pre-season to not scoring like 1 goal throughout the whole campaign. So that was like a tough year for me, that one, because I'd gone from playing with a tournament in the Milk Cup, scoring all them goals, big build-up, this is my breakthrough season, to then all of a sudden not scoring throughout the campaign, and the pressure was on. Do you know what I mean?
What did that do to your self-belief, Ben?
To be honest, to myself, I just carried on. I just thought, in my head, I was thinking, what's going off? Like, why aren't they dropping? And I think it was only the year after where I had a change of position right back. So I went from right wing centre midfielder to being pushed right back. And I always thought myself as like an attacking player. I was known for crossing. Like my crossing, running with the ball and crossing while on the move. That was my best attribute. And I was known for that. And then all of a sudden to be moved to right back, a defensive position, in my mind at the time, it was like a bit of a kick in the teeth. I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to get forward anymore. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do that. But I was also known as the fittest at the club. Like on the bleep test, everyone used to cane me for being busy. Because I didn't mean to be busy. I just kept running. Do you know what I mean? So I'd stay in till like the tape ended, and people would be like, so I can say it now because I'm retired. But sometimes we'd be going out on a Tuesday night with all lads, youth team, and not thinking that we're not might end up turning up on the Wednesday, and then they'd either get a sniff that we went out or just do it because it was middle of the week and we're supposed to have a day off. But they put the bleep test on. Oh, lads were like, oh my God, no way. So with that bleep test, Well, I'd have been at same amount of time as them lot. But obviously, they used to say I had 3 lungs. So I'd stay in till tape ended. And some lads would be going at the toilet, spewing up. And I'd be there like, what's up, lads? How'd you do it? You were out with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was, I can't explain that. I think that just come natural. But yeah, it was just one of them.
What reinforcement are you getting? I'm thinking Neil Warnock's the manager then, is it just before Warnock's time? What reinforcement are you getting from the management and the team that you're playing in, and also the first team's management about how you're doing? You've not scored for a year, you've moved to a position that, at that time for Sheffield United was Alan Wright's time, wasn't it? It was get it out your feet and bang it in the channel and don't do much else as a fullback.
To be fair, there were a couple of coaches at Sheffield United at the time. Mick Jones, who were like known as Neil Warnock's ears and eyes. Didn't really coach much, but he used to walk around with like a silence about him around the training ground, watching, analysing, and then obviously he used to relay stuff back to the gaffer Neil Warnock. Stuart McCall. There were Brian Kidd. Brian Kidd took a liking to me. So when I was younger, and obviously first team was a couple of like players down, Brian Kidd always used to call for me. Say, right, get Ben up here. Get Ben up here. Do you know what I mean? So that was another coach that took a shine to me, that helped me a little bit progress. Because obviously every time I got called up to the first team, I was in the gaffer's eyes. And I think Mick Jones helped me a lot because he made the Polish FA aware that I qualified to play for Poland. I think he sent a letter in, and they obviously, I think they told me that they were keeping tabs on me since the Milk Cup. But obviously, because of the year after the Milk Cup, I had a little bit of a quiet season, as we've just discussed. I don't think I ever got the call the year after, but it came sure enough. And then from then on, I got the call up. That's when I got my new contract. So just before the call up, it was a bit like that, whether I was getting the new contract. I actually threatened to leave. I come in, they was offering me some silly money, rubbish money really, for the age that I was at the time, and they was in the Premier League, and I think they were just trying it on a little bit. So I can remember going in the office to Ron Reid and just saying, Ron, how do I go about leaving? Because I think I'm worth more. I'd rather take the risk of going to the World Cup as a free agent and probably hopefully getting picked up. Anyway, you can't leave. I said, well, they're offering me stupid money. Nothing's getting sorted. And at this time, I actually had Neil Warnock's son as my agent. Right? I actually had James Warnock as my agent. And he didn't know anything about this. So I thought, right, I'm going to take it into my own hands. So I went into Ron's office, like I just said, I said, I want to leave. He said, you can't leave. So then he got on the phone to Mick Jones, who was close to the gaffer. He got onto the gaffer. Next thing, I've got a phone call. Right, come down and see me. I want to see you. So I went round to see the gaffer. And he's talking to me, right, what do you want? So I'm saying, I've gone, boom. And he's just looked at me and gone, basically, are you pissed? so basically, we come to like some sort of halfway point. I was happy because it was a lot more than what I'd originally got. James Warnock still didn't know anything about this, but he was a gaffer's son. Terry Robinson said, right, get your half down here, because obviously each chairman and he deals with all the negotiation and money and stuff. So I went down, I'm sat with Terry Robinson, and Terry Robinson's great. He's an absolute, he's like you love him or hate him, but he's an absolute character. And I got on really well with him. And I went down and he said, how the fuck have you managed to get this? I said, well, sort of gaffer, I think I deserve it. So then I knew I was already playing for Poland and going to be playing in the World Cup. So I said, Terry, any chance for a signing on fee? He said, are you taking piss? I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put these appearance targets in for you. So it was something like, I don't know, I said £3 for every under-20 appearance, £4.5 for under-21, and £5 for every full international appearance. So I said, yeah, no problem, Terry. I said, I suppose I'll take that. Knowing full well that I was getting called up to the Training World Cup and I'll play the first 4 games. So I'm walking off and going, right, now get out of my office. So I've signed a new 2-year contract. So I've come home, it's richest I've ever been at 19-year-old coming back from World Cup. I didn't know what to do with it. So
that's brilliant. I
messaged Donna, who's Sheffield United secretary, saying, Donna, I've played all 4 games. Can you just make sure that I've got me appearance money in there? Blah, blah, blah.
So you've just negotiated yourself the best contract that you've ever had. Maybe not as high as you walked in for, but you know, again, you've got to have something about you and a bit of confidence to be going in and asking for big money off the back of what you've admitted yourself wasn't the greatest year. Yeah. And just before you going, I think, was it the Under-20 World Cup? Was that 2007?
Under-20 World Cup in Canada, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just before that, there were a year in between that. I actually kicked on and made that right back position my own, and we're doing really well. That were leading up into the World Cup, but yeah. So, but just before that, I got given. I think I had 10 days off just before the World Cup. And me and Ian Ross at the time with Sheffield United, we had a little break and we just went to Benidorm. just for like shits and giggles, went to Benidorm. And as I'm there, James Warnock called me up. And he still didn't know anything about it. And he rings me up and he says, Ben, he says, what's crack? Where are you? I says, I've got Chester wanting you, and I've got Darlington who's interested in you, and Swinton and all this. I said, James, I said, you not speak to your dad? He says, no, why? He says, I've just signed a 2-year deal, mate. So he's there like, have you? I says, yeah. I says, don't worry about it, mate. I says, I'm on holiday now, and then I'll be off to World Cup. I'll see you in a bit, pal.
Oh my God!
So you've been brave enough to have an half-decent season, go to the manager of the first team's office and negotiate your own contract without telling his agent who's the manager's son, and then go on holiday for 10 days. And what better preparation for Under-20 World Cup than going to Benidorm with your mate? Tell us about that trip. Was that good preparation?
Unbelievable scenes, are they?
Unbelievable.
Oh my God. Tell us about that World Cup then, that under-20 World Cup in Canada, because you're suddenly then going from Sheffield United, it's going to be a step up, and you're up against Argentina, Brazil, and all these big names. That must take an incredible amount of self-belief. I'm presuming that you're probably the only UK-based player in that Polish squad. Is that right?
I was, yeah.
How was that?
That was tough, to be honest, at the beginning, because I'm turning up to this Polish squad. I can't speak Polish. The guys, obviously, they know that the World Cup's coming and the squad's going to be announced, and I'm coming there to take someone's place. And I can't even speak their language. So there was a little bit of animosity, a bit of jealousy in there. But it's like anything. I threw myself into it wholeheartedly, 100%. And eventually the guys would become a close-knit team. There was a couple of guys, Bartosz Białkowski, he plays for Millwall at the minute, still in the net. He was our keeper at the time. Jaroslav Foyu, he played for Bolton at the time. Thomas Sifka, he played for Wigan. So there was quite a few lads who did speak English and put an arm around me and like took me on board and made me very welcome and stuff. Well, I just believed that I was coming from Sheffield United. At the time, they'd just come down from the Premier League, so they were a Premier League club, and I believed that I was earned my right to be there. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, from the training camps, I fit in straight away. So we turned up to this. I got announced in the squad. We turned up, and we was playing Brazil the first game. And Brazil had. It's only now that I look back and realise even more some of the players that were playing. Like at the time, I didn't recognise them, but obviously because we've moved on and the years have gone by, some of them have gone on to be really big name players. Like your David Luiz, your Thiago Silva, your Joe, your Lucas, who played for Liverpool. Do you know Marcelo, left back for Real Madrid?
So you were up against Marcelo, Ben?
Yeah, Pato. Pato, left winger. Alexander Pato. I think I've still got him in my pocket, actually. No, but we played there, 64,000 fans, first game of the World Cup. We were live. And this was in Montreal. And in Canada, there's a lot of Polish population. So it felt like we were playing at home. You know what I mean? It was just full of like red and white, Polish. So we had a right following. And so we're playing, first 24 minutes, we had a man sent off. Kroll, left back. Couldn't believe it. I thought, right, so we're playing Brazil. This is all we need. We've got like another 80 minutes with 10 men. So next thing, Gregis Kukroviak, who played for PSG, Sevilla and all that, he stepped up for us and bent a free kick in from like 30 yards, one of the best free kicks I've seen. We've gone wild, 1-0 up, and we've held on. We've won Brazil 1-0. First time Poland's ever beaten in a competitive competition. And we've done it. So there were parties back home, celebrations back home. Everyone's going mad. There's clips of us running on pitch, but I've just burst into tears because I'm just a normal lad, down to earth lad from Sheffield. Can't believe where I am. Like, I've just beat Brazil. Do you know what I mean? I'm playing against Pato and Marcelo. I got the man of the match. My first competitive game for Poland, and I just burst into tears. I went and up to my dad, my stepmom in the crowd, and couldn't control myself. You know what I mean? Emotions just got hold of me.
I hope the first 20 minutes of that car journey after were
Mate, I was celebrating too. I didn't even get time to have a chat to him until later on that night. But I'll tell you a funny story just before that World Cup.
Yeah. So
we're in the tunnel. Brazil's down one end, Poland's queuing up down the other, and the referee comes walking out, and it's Howard Webb.
Yeah, from Sheffield. Policeman.
Yeah. So my stepdad at the time is an ex-copper, and he said, "Hey, if you see Howard Webb, tell him Pat Bailey said all right, like we grew up with each other and his dad and that." So true enough, Howard Webb's refereeing his first game. So I've gone, "Now then, Howard, how you doing, pal? Pat Bailey says he's a guy." So he's turned around thinking. So I've got Brazil there who speak like Brazilians fine, and I've got Poland there who speak Polish, and then I've got someone shouting, "Now then, Howard." Who the chuffing hell's that? So he's turned around and I've gone, "All right, I heard Pat Bailey says he's got like." So he's looked at me, gone out, he's thinking, what on earth's going on in here? So then throughout all game, he's come to me every time. "Ben, can you have a word with such and such? Ben, can you have a word with such and such? Ben, you're thinking I speak Polish, by the way." So every time he's gone it, I've just gone, So, yeah, that were a laugh.
Just the confidence that you've got there. You're the captain of Poland under-20s. It's your first competitive game for them. You're playing against Brazil, and you're in the tunnel, and you've remembered that your stepdad just happened to mention that if you see Howard Webb, say hello for him from me, and you've gone up and done it. Like, how many people would actually do that? You know, you watch these clips, don't you, of your Patrick Vieiras and your Roy Keanes and your Gary Nevilles in the tunnel, and there's just a stern stare forward, and it's game time, and off they go. And I'd love to see what that story you just described at the side of that as. Not if you're Ben Starosta. "Hey up, Howard. Remember Pat Bailey says hello." Outstanding, mate. Brilliant.
But do you know what? I've always been known as a little bit of a character. Do you know? So that's just me. I think that's how I deal with my nerves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get it out there before someone can
Do
you know what I mean? Put me down or take the piss anyway. Do you know, it's just one of them.
Yeah, and it's a connection, isn't it? I'm sure that in some ways that helped Howard Webb as well, knowing that he had somebody who he could speak to really easily on his team, and you just knowing that the ref knew who you were. Like, there's obviously an intentionality behind what you were doing. I'm only being blasé when I'm saying, you know, you're just sort of throwing it out there as a laugh, but it helps to create that atmosphere, doesn't it? Where it creates a connection and an opportunity for you to get to know someone that then essentially makes that next 90 minutes a touch easier, doesn't it?
Well, not really, no, because you sent our left back off after 24. So.
But that's the thing, when you heard about John Terry and Lampard, or they would call ref by their name and ask how their kids are, and it was a deliberate advantage that they were trying to gain. Whereas you've just done that because you've just been Ben and you've been authentic.
Yeah. Well, he didn't like the fact that I called him a knob straight after he sent our left back off. But
he understood that, though, didn't he? Understood.
But I think he understood it and forgive me after, because he come up to me after the game and went, "Man, I can't believe it. Well played, mate," and congratulated me and so on. So, yeah, the World Cup was the best experience of my life.
Yeah.
Like, just being part of that group, being part of that. We had before the tournament, our group was called the Group of Death. Like, we had a really strong group. The game after, I think we lost to USA, like, I think it was 5-1, because we were that emotionally drained from the first game. Like, playing 80 minutes with 10 men, beating Brazil. I think we still didn't come down from it. You know, and I think we just got overwhelmed, and we're actually winning the game 1-0. And then I think Freddie Adu scored 4 goals.
I remember it. Signed him on Chat Manager a few times.
Well, yeah, at that time, Freddie Adu was supposed to be like the next big thing. And on that game, he were unbelievable. He were unplayable. Yeah. And then we needed at least a point in the last game against South Korea. And we got it. It was a tense game. But we got it, and we got through to the knockout stages. So then we moved to Toronto, and again, big Polish population there. So it was like being at home. We were like superstars for the 3.5 weeks that we were there. And we eventually played Argentina. Again, I think I played against a left winger. I don't know whether you've heard of Angel Di Maria. So. Aguero played up top.
My gosh.
It was just unreal. Ever Banega in centre midfield, Insua left back. It was crazy. Sergio Romero in net.
Wow.
And then they eventually went on to win it. We're winning 1-0 again on that match. And just before half time, they scored an equaliser, which were guttering, because we were actually like keeping us on. And we thought, if we can get in here at 1-0, we've got a right chance. And they scored just before half time, went in 1-1. And then we come out for the second half, right, lads, we're in this, got a right chance, blah, blah. And then we come out and Sergio Aguero scored after 46 minutes. So it like Paul Gascoigne's goal, you know, where he flicked it over the head against Scotland. And I just stood there, mate, and I was
like, give him a clap.
And I was playing. But and then we went for it towards the end, and I think they scored on counter-attack in stoppage time. 3-1. But it was a great experience. I'll never forget it. No. We come back from Poland there, and we were like superstars back in Poland. You know, like that under-20 team that we was in.
Yeah.
We still talk about it now because they've never done as well before in a competitive tournament.
So did you manage to get to Poland then? After your tournament in Canada, did you get over to Poland and see some of this or hear some of this from the fans?
I didn't. I caught a plane straight back from Canada, straight back to UK at the time. But obviously, a year later, I went on loan to Lechia Gdansk. And that was unbelievable.
Tell us a bit about that. I think I can recall a couple of these when we've had conversations before.
Yeah, well, a year before that, I went on loan to Brentford and Bradford. But when I went to Lechia Gdansk, it was on transfer deadline day. And I got a phone call saying, "Oh, we've got a phone call. Lechia Gdansk are interested in you coming on loan." I didn't know, I'll be honest, I didn't know too much about the Polish league before that. And I thought, Gdansk. But I spoke to a few people over there and over here and said, look, it'll be good for you. Leo Bienak, who was the national team coach, I got told that he was considering me not for the under-23s, but straight to the full national team. And we had a few chats over in Canada because he came. And he obviously spoke English and didn't speak Polish, so we had a little bit in common. So we used to have a few chats. I said to my dad, I said, Dad, will you come over with me? Like, because it's my dad's family that's Polish. I said, Dad, will you come over with me? Like, and just like settle me in, like just come as like a chaperone. Went, yeah, I'll come with you. Yeah, yeah. I'm not kidding. We turned up off the plane. There was 40 journalists, 3 camera crews. Like, me and my dad looked at each other going, what the is happening here? Like, honest, I got chauffeured into a car, got took back to this like clubhouse, and I got presented like transfer deadline day deal, Ben Starosta coming from Sheffield Utd. But it was surreal. Couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable. That was like an experience I'll never forget. So I was like, I didn't think I was anyone at the time. I just thought I was still like Ben Starosta, Sheffield United, like first team squad, whatever. Not played a game. Go to Lechia Gdansk and I'm actually like someone. You know what I mean? I'm like,
what did that do for you in terms of your coming back to self-belief again? What does that do for your confidence when you see that and you turn up and that happens?
Oh, it was unreal. It was unreal. For 6 months, I thought I was like Ronaldo.
But does that put pressure on you? Do you feel an expectation and a weight of sort of demand there, or does it have the opposite effect? Do you just buzz in and you?
100%. So I went there, did all the stuff, media stuff, and everything like that. Got presented. I'm walking through the changing room, and people are like, "Oh man, like all the Polish players, man, like this." So I'm like, "Hey, all right, yeah." They didn't rush me into the first game. I trained for a full week first, like to get up to their speed because they just had a break. They had their winter break or summer break. I can't remember which one it was. Went in, and my first game was against Lechia Gdansk, which is their biggest rival. Like their hatred is off the scale.
Yeah, United on Wednesday.
Yeah. So honestly, it's scary. So our first game were there, but it was in the cup, and they weren't playing the full like first team. It was like a, I don't know, local cup or whatever. So they said, Ben, we want you to play in this, get your fitness up. Then we've got another game against Lechia Gdansk again, but in the league. So I'm like, all right, no worries. We lost 1-0. And I can remember I tried to cut inside, and I think I got the ball nicked away. This were in their off, got the ball nicked away, and they went on counter-attack and scored. So I was thinking, this is a right start, this, Ben. Unbelievable. So lads were a bit like, I couldn't really understand what, but I got the gist that they just lost against the biggest rival 1-0, and I'd give the ball away in other end, but they still managed to run other side of the pitch and score. So I thought, shit, that's not the best start. That I need to like redeem myself here. Go to Lechia Gdansk away, and our fans had to boycott it because there was too much hype about it, too much trouble going to be kicked off. So our fans weren't allowed in the stadium. So we went on a cold, misty night, and we won 1-0. First time Gdansk has, like, because we got promoted into extra class that season. First time Gdansk has ever like beat them in 62 years away at their ground. Unbelievable. I didn't even know what to expect, how big it was, until we got back to our ground, Gdansk, early hours of the morning, like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. 14,000 fans waiting for us with flares, flags, champagne. We got crowd surfed off the coach. And I was only like 20-year-old at the time. I'm thinking, wow. And that's when I told the story about the big hooligan just coming in the changing room with gold teeth, scar on the back of his head. I'm sat there thinking, who's this guy here? And he's come on and gone, oh, Ben. And he's just said, you learn Polish? Like, oh, no. I'm like, yeah, I will tomorrow. I'll get on it. But yeah, that were another wild experience, but a great experience. Unbelievable atmosphere.
Who's that then that's come into the changing rooms?
Some hooligan, isn't it?
So the biggest Polish hooligan, Gdansk, like main man, right? And even security guards just went, there you go, like get yourself in. In England, it wouldn't even like think of, would it? The local hooligan just walked straight in changing room to like shake Ronaldo's hand or someone's hand. You know what I mean? We won't get nowhere near. This guy's just walked in, just beat Lechia Gdansk, and he's like picking us all up, shaking us all, like crazy.
So Ben, was that a high point then in your career? You've had the World Cup, you've gone to Poland, and you've played there. Tell us the journey then, because obviously we then met a few years down the line in the Philippines, and tell us the process towards getting there and how that ended up. And I know it's a crazy story of how that happened.
Well, from then on, come back. I think I come back with a niggle. I didn't get paid I weren't getting paid on time in Poland. So
even being mates with the hooligan, I
couldn't get paid. I couldn't even have a word with him to try and get my money. I just couldn't get paid in time. So Sheffield United, Terry Robbins sent an email across like saying, "Look, if you don't pay him, we're going to take you to." But it were rife in Poland at that point,
right.
Like not getting paid on time, not getting your. So I didn't stay. They wanted me to stay for the full season, and I didn't stay because of that reason. I just thought, can't be doing with this. So I come home and I had a bit of a niggle anyway that I needed to get sorted. That end of that season, that's when my contract ran out at Sheffield United. And I got the phone. The last two weeks of that season, I got a phone call from Eddie Howe. He wanted me to go down to Bournemouth. Well, I've got family in Bournemouth, so for me, I was like, yeah, perfect. It'd be like home from home. Went down, loved it, absolutely loved it. Obviously, you can see from Newcastle now what he likes to do is create like a tight knit atmosphere and team. And it's all about bonding and stuff like that. And he only brings in the right people, characters and stuff. Well, I've gone down and I knew a few people down there anyway. And we got on like an house on fire. He loved the fact that I already had family down there, so it wouldn't have been a big transition and stuff like that. But at this point, they still had a transfer embargo on them because they had, obviously, if you can remember, Bournemouth dropped right down.
Yeah, they nearly went out of existence.
Started to come on the way back up. So that was that. I had a meeting with him. He said, look, Ben, we want to really interesting. We really want to sign you. How do you feel about it? I said, look, I want to be here. This is where I want to be. I said, right, brilliant. So I didn't go back to Sheffield United. I ended up just staying down. I asked him, said, can I just stay down there? I said, yeah, no problem, stay down there. And that was it until the end of the season. During pre-season, I get a phone call from my agent and from Colin Todd at Darlington. So I goes up to Darlington to see what it's about because I found out he wanted to sign me back in day for Bradford. Goes and meets him. Within half an hour, I find out he wants to offer me a 3-year deal. My dad's there, my agent's there. He says, but you've got an hour to decide because I've got other people I need to build this squad. He says, you've got an hour to decide. So I was in the car park, I'm thinking, oh, I love Bournemouth though, I love Bournemouth. But Bournemouth are in a transfer embargo and I don't know when I'll be able to sign on the dotted line. It could be 2 weeks into the season. It could be a month into the season. So I'm there with my agent. They're offering me quite good money. 3-year deal. 3-year deals are hard to come by.
Yeah.
So I said, stuff it. I'll go and sign. So he's got my dad in. He says, look, we'll take good care of him. We'll look after him. I promise you. Shook my dad's hand and stuff like that. That was it. But also Darlington were coming out of administration. They've got a new takeover. So I had to sign a pre-agreement. So we went in. And Darlington have got a big stadium at the time, and it's a nice place to like play. So I thought, good stadium, good manager. He really wants me. That's that. Goes back pre-season, plays every pre-season game. Looking like I'm in the starting 11. Gets a phone call, or can you come in to see us? Week before the season. Pulls me in, plus another 3 players who were on decent money who's dropped down and played for Darlington. We're going to have to let you go. I'm like, what do you mean let me go? He went, we're going to have to let you go, financial reasons, we can't justify it, we haven't come out of administration yet, blah, blah, we're going to have to let you go, plus we're going to have to let you go. I says, I've signed a pre-agreement. He went, yeah, but we've looked into it and there's nothing really much that you can do with it, blah, blah. So obviously I didn't even argue. I says, right, fair enough, no problem. Walked out the office, I rang my agent, told my agent, they can't do that. I said, well, they've just done it. I said, I'm not going to, all right, that's it, I'll leave it with me. At that point, I thought, what has just happened? You know what I mean? At the time, I was living with a family in Hartlepool who put me up. I can remember going back to them going, they've just got rid of me. What do you mean got rid of you? They just like cancelled as pre-agreements. So I had to say bye. I got right close with them. I had to say bye to them. And I can remember driving back down M1 and I'm thinking, what has just happened here? The agent contacts me as I'm going down saying, Paul Buckle wants you down at Torquay. So I knew Torquay offered me a 3-year deal just the previous year. Said, don't come along, we want to sign you permanently. And at the time, they were in conference, but they just got promoted to League Two. So I said, all right, I'll come down. Played in a game against Derby. And we couldn't agree the money that we wanted because Torquay's expensive and it's other side of the world compared to Sheffield. So he says, I can't, Ben, I've already got a player on that. I said, I can't have two right backs on the same money. I said, there's got to be some give and take, blah, blah. I said, yeah, but who's going to be the starting right back? He said, you. I said, so why am I going to sign for less than the right back that's going to be on less, like, more than me? You know what I mean? It was just one of them. He said, right, we can't do it then. That's it, we can't do it. So at this point, I'm thinking, what is happening with my luck here? Like, I must have run over a black cat or something. Like, what's happening? So, again, I get a phone call from MLS, Chicago Fire. Said, right then, because they had a big Polish population, they wanted me to go over to Chicago to be like this, bring the Polish fans in through the door and be the Polish ambassador of the club or whatever. So I said, MLS, it weren't big at the time, it was just growing. So I said, all right. I said, when can you get out of here? We want you out of here in the next few days. The players moving. So we've got an international slot, visa slot ready for you, and you'll take his position. So I went, I can get out there as soon as possible. So they sent me the flights. I went out to Chicago. Great facilities, some of the best facilities I've seen. They put me up in this old hotel, downtown Chicago, like, great. So I'm training with the club. They've got me my kit. I've even got my own number. Said, right, as soon as this guy's gone, that's your number, that's your kit. We'll sign you on the dotted line as soon as this guy's gone. We've agreed the salary and everything. I was basically going to take his slot. This guy's gone to France. He's failed his medical. So I've gone from Darlington, Torquay, to Chicago Fire, to then this guy's failed his medical. So I'm left high and dry again in space of, well, this is all in space of like 1 month.
Wow.
He said, turned around and said, we're so sorry. It was not like, he's got his injury. There's nothing we can do. Here's they give me about $3,000 for my troubles because they must have felt that bad. So they have a 2-week holiday. So I was there in Chicago having my head had gone.
Yeah.
So I must have gone out every night in them 2 weeks. Just like.
So you've gone from just about signing for Bournemouth, where you feel like you belong, you've got family there, you love what I was doing. You've gone up to Darlington and had your head turned on a 3-year deal, which makes perfect sense, doesn't it? You've then got let down there right at the last minute, cut ties there, gone to Torquay. Torquay can't agree on the money, so you've gone to the MLS in Chicago, and you've ended up out on the piss in Chicago because you've got released there. Like, how do you get your head around that?
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, but the thing is, people don't realize. People will just go, he's got released from that. Oh, he's got released from that. Oh, he's got. No one knows the. You know what I mean? No one knows the inside stories of what actually happened. Like,
and you're just a human being, Ben, with feelings. And coming back to self-belief, what does that do to you then?
Yeah.
What does that do when you've got almost, you haven't been rejected, but you have, haven't you, to a certain extent, but they can't afford you or there's someone else, circumstances happen. What does that do to you then?
That was probably the lowest point for me because I was like, right, how do I get back into it now? Oh, all the coaches have got all the squads.
Yeah.
All the budgets have been taken. Like, how am I going to get back into that merry-go-round now? How am I going to get back into that? Like, my head actually went.
Yeah.
I can remember one of my mates had it was his 40th birthday. And at the time, I was flush from getting all my appearance money from World Cup. So, just booked on. I think I went to Ibiza for 2 days. Like, just booked on because my head had gone that much. I thought, right, I need to let my hair down.
Yeah.
So I just booked on his at 40th and went to Ibiza. I can remember just going to Ibiza for 2 days.
And this is a professional football. This is a top level athlete. And and you've got no club. How old are you at this point, Ben? What, 20, 23, 24?
21 now, I'm only 21, I think.
Oh, 20, wow.
22. No, I'll be 22.
22.
22, yeah.
So what then after Ibiza? What was the next part?
So then I went to Australia, which probably is my biggest mistake. Everyone who I met in Australia were unbelievable. Like, to me, they looked after me. They were great. The guy who got me to Australia were great. The guy who then I lived, Dougie Hodgson, who played for Sheffield United, I ended up living with him out there. Him and his wife, Kath, they were unbelievable with me. Like, moved me in, looked after me, fed me. I'll never forget that. Like, but when I went, it was, I don't know, it weren't what I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought I was going to go to the A-League or, kick on from there, playing the A-League. So, and the standard just wasn't there.
Right.
I basically moved out there, and which I shouldn't have. It big regret for me. And then I got forgot about back here. You know what I mean? I should have probably stayed here and grind it out. Instead, I wanted just to play football, no matter where it were. And Australia got pinged up to me, and I just went for it.
Yeah. And you almost punished her as a result. You're just a young man
who
wants to play football, but rather than, listen to maybe some advice of stay put, work your way back in England, you've gone and took an opportunity that sounds exciting and it's worked against you. Yeah.
Whereas obviously later on, if I don't know, say my early 30s, late 30s, I got that opportunity, and then it's a perfect opportunity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might have stayed out there and emigrated out there, and do you know what I mean? But it was the wrong time. I kicked myself because I should have just stayed around in people's eyes, in people's ears. Do you know what I mean? Just batting it away, and it was something probably would have come up eventually, but it was just one of them. I either sat there waiting, or I just went and carried on trying to play.
So again, though, the self-belief comes in where you were too good for that league. You had that in you to think, I'm too good for that. And then you make that brave decision. Then what was next, Ben, from there? You're too good for that. What happens then?
From there, I come home. But I come home, their league finishes in, I think it was March, April time. I come home, and I actually went down to Chris Wilder's Oxford United. He asked me down there, because we've got quite a few mutual friends in Sheffield. I think they had a word. I went down to Chris Wilder's Oxford United. I trained, and he was keen. He sat me down because he doesn't speak he don't beat around the bush either. Do you know what I mean? He's from Sheffield like me. He sat me down and went, "Look, Ben," he says, "we've got mutual friends." He went, "What's the crack?" And I just sat there and I told him, I said, "Look, Chris," I said, I just need that foot back in through the door. And is what it is. And I said, I've made some bad decisions, some on my part. I've had a bit of bad luck. I said, I just need that foot through the door. He went, "Look," I says, "I can't do anything now." I says, "But I want you back here pre-season." I said, "That's fine, no problem at all. As long as I know that I've got the opportunity in pre-season, I can plan and I can get myself up to speed." And that says, "Yeah, get yourself back here pre-season." So that was it. I've missed a large chunk out, because I went to Poland before that. And then from then on, I didn't go back to Oxford, because I got a phone call saying you come to Philippines.
Yeah.
And then that's how I ended up in Philippines. And something that I always wanted to do, Philippines. I didn't imagine Philippines, but I wanted to do Thailand, and because it was becoming quite big, and a lot of players were moving over to Thailand and Southeast Asia and stuff. got the phone call from Philippines. Never really knew much about the Philippines before I went out there. I spoke to a few mates who'd gone on business out there, and they were like, Philippines, like one of them who's never really travelled much, and went to Philippines. And to be honest, Philippines is probably one of the favourite places where I not just for the football, but for the all round.
Yeah, the lifestyle.
The lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, all I really did was train in the morning and play golf and socialise with other expats and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. How long are you in the Philippines for, Ben?
I think I was there just under nearly 2 years.
And you went when? Your late 20s when you were there, early 30s?
Late 20s, yeah.
So at that point, I mean, that's where we all ended up meeting up there and having some good times there. But
few mojitos and Murray's about it, I remember.
But again, back to self-belief. You were too good for that league. We know that. You knew that. But had it got to a point there where you're thinking, well, I'm on a fairly good deal here. I'm just trying to now. Had you become a journeyman, so to speak, at that point? And that's not a particularly great term. What were you doing there?
I knew that when I was in Philippines, I knew that I'd be happy with this for the rest of my career if it stayed like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe I might get a move to Thailand. Maybe I might get a move to Hong Kong or Singapore. But more and more I travelled around there and played in them tournaments and played against them teams. There weren't really that much difference. You know what I mean? I'd be moving. Grass ain't always greener on the other side. Yeah. I had an owner in Dandenong that were looking after me. Probably looking after me too much. And obviously, my dad come over to see me for the first time, and I think it was Holy Week. And Dan Palami says, "Oh, hey, Daddy, yeah." He says, "Don't worry about it. I'll sort it." Before we knew it, we had 2 plane tickets to Cebu. He paid for us to have this private villa with his own jacuzzi, and my dad was just sat in jacuzzi, FaceTime his mates at work, and his mates were putting phone down on him. You know what I mean? Going, piss off. So at that point, I thought, yeah, I've got it pretty good here. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But it was
global, wasn't it?
It was global, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us a bit of background on Dan Palami and the global setup.
It was weird. That's the only word I can use for it is weird. Like, I used to get paid directly from him.
Cash under bed, then. Cash under bed.
I used to have to catch a taxi through one of the roughest parts of Manila to his office. He'd ask me how much I'm owed. I'd write it down on a piece of paper because I keep it in a book. I'd write it down on a piece of paper. He'd phone through his secretary. She'd go to the bank and he'd come back with a briefcase.
Oh my gosh. Incredible.
So I'd be like, what on earth is happening here? So then I'd have to catch a taxi back with a briefcase back to my hotel.
I'm surprised you didn't get done over. Someone looking for you there. Oh, that's that Ben.
Honestly,
it's that Ben. Look out for him. He's got that briefcase.
Honestly, you couldn't make it up. But and then all the rest of the lads would get paid by the, I don't know, Global Holdings or stuff like that. It was crazy. But I had my apartment paid for. I lived in, obviously, F1 hotel.
Yeah.
Furbished apartment, 3 pools. Like, I had everything that they had. I was living the dream. And then, obviously, the typhoon happened. And I think that's when things started to change.
Yeah. And the money started to go out of the game, didn't it, really?
The money started to dry up. Things started to change, which, you know what, I don't have no qualms over because I saw the devastation of what it caused. And I saw obviously Dan, he lost people himself in his house in Tacloban, family members, and they drowned and stuff like that. And I even felt for him.
Yeah.
And then he pulled me to one side, and it was just a case of, look, Ben, I'm pulling back the money, and because I was the captain at the time, weren't I?
Yeah.
The captain of the club. very rare that the captain gets brought in and says, right, we can't keep you anymore. Do you know what I mean? And I was settled there. Like, obviously, Reagan just started working at your place, British School Manila.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
We were absolutely perfect. We couldn't have asked for it to be any better. She started meeting her own friends, because you know what it's like sometimes when you bring your missus over, it's just you and your missus. Like, she had her own socialising group of friends, meeting people at the school and things like that. I was going to start coaching there, and stuff like that. And we were absolutely devastated when he brought us in.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to go home. It was just a bit too premature.
Yeah.
And but like I said, we couldn't argue with it. That's what it was, and how it happened.
And then, so you've had these rich experiences in football all over the world, really, and great life experiences as well. You're then devastated you've got to go back, and you're late 20s, aren't you? And you're thinking, well, what now? And tell us about that period then of going back and then towards where you're setting up your own business.
Well, I come back. We decided that I had other offers in Europe, mainly back in Poland, but I'd already been there, done that, and I was just sick. To be honest, I would have stayed out there if I hadn't just got the sack. But I would have. It was one of them. I think I'd just had enough of travelling, and I just wanted to settle down somewhere where we knew exactly where we were going to be, what we were doing, set roots down, and we're at that point where we're thinking about having kids. So we come back and said, look, we're going to stay in England, see what comes up. If all fails, I'll move down to semi-pro and have a look, see what's out there. Comes back, Brian Reid gets a job at Nuneaton Town. So straight away, he rang me up. He said, look, Ben, I've got a job at Nuneaton Town. Why don't you come and join me? And at the time, they were in Conference Premier, which is still a very good league. They're still playing your Grimsby's, your Wrexhams, your Notts Counties, your stuff, people like that. So I thought, yeah, fair enough, I'll go there. Played there for a season. I had rough, smooth. It was a bit of a turbulent year because Brian Reid left after a couple of months and left me there. So new manager comes in, it were okay. That were another year past playing. Gets a phone call, Answorth Paramore, and at the time Answorth Paramore, they had Pete White, head chairman, and he was pumping a lot of money in. He wanted to move the club up the leagues. So I dropped down 5 leagues, which again I shouldn't have. Because then I'm at that level. I should have stayed at the highest level possible until I should have. But
I couldn't believe you made that drop when you told us, Ben. And when we came to watch you play, when Blades played against you in pre-season, you were just far too good for that level.
Yeah, I shouldn't have, mate. I shouldn't have. But again, that's part of the process of you make mistakes. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I probably listened to some people when I shouldn't have. I got brainwashed a little bit, or at the time I just thought I was travelling to Nuneaton, I was playing Dover away on a Tuesday night. I weren't getting back home at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I was getting up for work the next day. You know what I mean? It was just one of them. It was, do I carry on doing this, or do I move back home closer to home and spend more time with my family? But I shouldn't have. You're right. I shouldn't have. And I kicked myself again from that. I should have stayed at the highest level possible for as long as possible. But it happened, and that's what it is. And that obviously sent me to start my own business, looking to where I go next. Do you know what I mean? A little bit earlier than I thought it was going to come around.
And where does that come from then? That self-belief to set up a joinery business? Where has this been a little sideline you've been doing while you've been playing? What's that all about?
I actually done my qualifications through the PFA while I was still playing. So I got told, look, you need to think about doing something. You need to think about doing something when you're finished. And obviously everyone goes, I'll be all right. And I was one of them. I'll be all right. And then eventually, reality kicks in, and you think, what am I going to do when I finish playing?
Yeah.
I've done all my coaching qualifications. I coached at Sheffield Wednesday for 3 years. I coached at Sheffield United for another 2.5 years.
Yeah. And
there's no money in it.
Yeah.
There's no money in it. And you can be working 16-hour days.
Yeah.
There's no limit to how many hours you're working throughout the day as an academy coach. You could be going to Sunderland and you still get paid just as much as if you're going to play Rotherham.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like them coaches need a right pat on the back, because the time that they give up, the kids and for the academy and for the progression and stuff like that it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And eventually I thought to myself, right, I'm going to put this on hold for a bit. My wife at the time was like saying, when you're going to start spending weekends at home?
When you're going to get your arse in gear?
Yeah, when you're going to start spending weekends at home? And then I had my little girl, and I had my second little girl. And then it's like, when you're going to start spending time at home? When your girls don't see you? When you're going to do this? When you're going to do that? And she was right.
Yeah. And
I sat back and thought, you know what? You're absolutely right. I'm going here. I'm spending all these hours here, and I'm only getting paid. I said, time with my kids is more important. Time with my family is more important. So I thought to myself, right, I'm going to put my coaching career on hold.
Yeah.
Done all my badges anyway. They're never going to leave me.
Yeah.
I've got the experience of coaching. I've got the experience of playing professional and all that. Said, I can go back to that whenever I want. But what I can't go back to is missing my kids growing up.
Yeah.
So basically, I took one for the team. Well, made a decision. That's it. I'm going to put my football coaching and everything on hold, and I'm going to concentrate on this. And then that pushed me into building my own business. And Reagan's stepfather, he asked me to come on site one time on this glass yard in Chesterfield, and he went, "Just come on here." He said, "Come on here with me." It was about 8 months' work, blah blah. So I said, "All right, well." So I went on there with him. I never looked back.
Okay.
After that, I was getting people asking me, "Can you do my shop fit on the glass yard?" Shop fit at a hair salon. Did that. Boom, right. I'm going to go into shop. I'm going to do more shop fitting. Did more shop fitting.
Yeah.
Right. Office refurb. Can you refurb? Right. I'm going to do that. Right. More office refurbs. And then eventually I had my pipeline coming in, and I thought, this is me. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And the money is closest thing to living our life again like a footballer. You know what I mean?
Good on you.
Obviously nowhere near as much as a footballer, but it's the next best thing.
Yeah.
I'm working for myself, got no one to answer to, and that's it. So I've never looked back. Been busy ever since. Don't get me wrong, there's times where you think, oh, I need some work, I need to look at this, I need to look at that, but you've got to stay positive. And if people like, the biggest thing is people like you.
Yeah.
Like, it's so underestimated that.
You know what, Ben? We could have another podcast altogether, and I think we should one day, just on relationships and being a person that people remember, because you've got a really endearing personality. You're a person that we've met obviously on numerous occasions, and we've been in touch for years. But from that first meeting, you do have a warmth about you and an honesty and an absolute genuine sort of approach to just being a really good person who wants to just chat and connect with people. And I'm sure in your line of business, that's a huge thing for you to have, that helps you to get business, to make friends, to have people that look after you. And you know, it's a story there, Ben, that has ultimately got a really positive ending. I know it's been smattered with sort of maybe you mentioned it, some bad advice that you've taken and some mistakes that you've made, but to be a father of 2 kids with, you know, a lovely wife and a business that you can call your own, you know, you've come out of it in such a strong position. But it always, you know, it almost makes you think, when you go back and you analyze some of the things that you've told us, you were a likable, positive, honest young man that just wanted to go out and play football. That's all you wanted to do. You wanted to go and do it, and you were willing to travel all over the world to try and do it. And I wonder whether, looking back, you've got any regrets or anything that you felt you should have done differently.
Obviously, going back in the interview, you know, the things that I should have done differently. Just some bad decisions, some decisions where I should have done the opposite. You know what I mean? I should have ground it out a little bit more instead of going abroad probably at the beginning. But I don't have no regrets in terms of where I've been, what I've done at all. So that's made me the person I am today. You can't beat a life. You can't beat a life experience.
Yeah, yeah. You've seen stuff that the normal average kid from intake has never seen, mate.
Exactly.
Undoubtedly, but I just wonder whether contradictively, and this is where it's difficult because you can't go back and run a parallel life and a parallel timeline. But because you wanted to play so much and you were willing to take risks and go out and do it, you went to these different places that might have ultimately gone against you because you didn't have your face in and around the British League where you wanted to go. And I wonder whether there's players that are in similar positions to you who've stayed, you know, who've ground it out and who've really not enjoyed it and who haven't played as much, but they've managed to get a break that 6 months later because they're still around, that 12 months later, that 18 months later. And I suppose that's a question we'll never know. But it almost seems unfair. All you were trying to do is go out and play the sport that you loved and the thing that you did to make yourself some cash, you know.
Oh, 100%. Like, I'm on the building. I get stick on the building site now because they get a whiff that obviously I used to play football and stuff like that. And they give me stick. They say, oh, look at you now. Where are you now? And all this. And I say, I've been there, done it. Yeah. I've travelled the world for free, getting paid, playing football.
What were you doing?
You know what I mean? and they soon shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't put a price on that.
No, you're right.
I mean, I've been to Petra through a Polish football camp. I mean, who doesn't see he's one at 7 Wonders of the World? Do you know what I mean? Like, just through a football camp.
Yeah.
Been to the Dead Sea, reading the newspaper, sat up on Dead Sea. Like,
and your dad's FaceTimes his mates from an hot tub in Cebu. You can't find
my dad's got to FaceTime his mates from Jacuzzi in Cebu, yeah.
No, it's good, mate. It's all great experiences.
It is. It's class. It's class. We probably want to just pull it together now, Ben, with a few quick fire bits to finish.
Yeah.
I'm going to start. Give us the highlight of your career. What's the one thing that you'll always remember that you thought, you know what, I was at the top of my game there and I loved it?
Like I said before, probably playing in that World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask senior players now playing in a World Cup, I bet they say it's best experience that they've ever done. You can never, no one can ever take that away from me that I've played in one.
Yeah.
And to beat Brazil in that first game, I'll never feel anything like that ever again, I don't think.
And to be on the same pitch as those, you know, superstars that you've mentioned, unbelievable.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong, I was nervous as hell before the game, reading all these superstars, how much they touted, like transfer fee after, who they're going to and so on. And then I'm stood there, local lad from Sheffield, and we beat him 1-0. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, he's worth 25 million who I'm playing against. So now I'm thinking in my head, how much am I worth? And I get home and I find out I'm worth 250k.
Fantastic. And the last one, Ben, we talked about it off screen beforehand. Give us then your 3 managers, either what you've played with or you'd love to play for. 3 managers that you'd love to be part of their team.
I'd say I'd like to play for Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
Just because I think he's changed the game.
You'd be playing centre mid, wouldn't you, as a right back now? You'd be like tucked in and...
Well, that's why I want to play for Pep Guardiola, because he's pushed me further up the pitch. No, but what he's done for football is unbelievable. Like, you see the managers that's worked with him. Mikel Arteta, he's coming good now. Do you know what I mean? Other coaches, he's doing something that, I don't know, he's just doing something totally different that's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know he gets a lot of stick, but I'd love to play for Jurgen Klopp as well.
Yeah.
Just because I think he's a different kind of manager to Pep Guardiola. I think he's the tight-knit manager that I would have loved to play for, like all that fist pumping, that art on his sleeve. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gets your team going. You know what? Terry Butcher.
Yeah?
Terry Butcher was one of the nicest blokes I've ever met.
Oh, brilliant.
He has this persona of being this hard man. Don't get me wrong, I've seen him and he can lose it, but he's one of the nicest blokes you'll ever meet.
Does he always wear a bandage on his head?
No, mate, but he wears a woolly hat to cover that scar.
Oh, does he?
You just have that picture of Terry Butcher every time, don't you?
Yeah, that's his infamous for, isn't it? Give us a Terry Butcher story, Ben.
Well, I think we were losing 1-0. I think we were losing 1-0 at half time. It was just before half time, and it was a sloppy goal. I think our goalkeeper might have messed up, and he's come in and he's not said anything. And then all of a sudden, he's just walked back out of the shower and he's just put his foot straight through water dispenser. But the thing is, his foot went straight through it and he couldn't get it back out. So all lads are there getting a bollocking, but we all wanted to just burst out laughing, but we didn't.
Oh man, brilliant.
Last one, Ben. Tell us, our podcast is Infinite Learners Podcast, and we try and come at things from different angles and look at concepts in different ways. Obviously, today has been, in many respects, a light-hearted look at self-belief, but with some really strong messages in there as well, and some real sincerity and honesty from what you've done. What have you learned from your whole process and your whole journey so far in football and beyond?
I've got a quote that I take with me all the time.
Oh, nice.
And basically, it's dream it, believe it, achieve it.
Nice.
And if you do them three things, then obviously, like you said, you should have no regrets.
It's all about manifestation there, Ben. If you're dreaming it, believing it, and then you achieve it, yeah, it's be nice if we all felt like that. It'd be amazing. But it's a great message for the kids at school, actually, that one.
Yeah, for sure. Top man. Ben, it's been a class to chat, as I said. Always entertaining, always fun, always bags of honesty. Yeah. And I'm already looking forward to seeing you again. You'll be on here again soon, I hope. Tell us about some of your plans for the future.
Nothing, mate. I'm just working hard, building my business up. I've got another saying, I'm not here to participate, I'm here to take over, so I've got some work to do. But yeah, mate, I'm enjoying it. It's reality. Obviously, every day is not smooth, but we just roll up the sleeves and we just keep grinding. And
you've been in the newspaper recently, haven't you?
I have, mate. I have. I think I got a picture message from my father-in-law. He nearly spat his cup of tea out in cafe when he opened it up, and I'm on double header.
It's Sheffield Star.
It's Sheffield Star. So,
and there might be a book deal from that as well, then, Ben.
Mate, it's been touted. But there's a lot more stories to go in a book than they can fit in an hour and a half. So keep posted.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Top
Good
man.
luck with that.
Yeah, top man. Thanks a lot, Ben. Take care, and we'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, guys. Speak to you soon.